Yes, family. Greetings in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Rosera Menin. Yes, family. One perfect balance. Welcome to another special edition. We always say special. Of Politically Incorrect, where we get it correct. If not, inbox, update, set the record straight. Don't hesitate or don't be late. We give thanks, nevertheless, for joining us. If you're now logging in, yes, tonight we're going to touch on the GIS issue again. Yes, we will. But we have some other stuff in the pipeline, so to speak, that we need to discuss as a people. And, the question really is, do they really care about us? We really got to start taking some serious looks at how we make decisions and how we allow what we call the government to make decisions for us. So go tell a friend and tell a friend. Politically Incorrect up and running. We live. It's where the energy's at. You don't want to miss out on tonight for sure. So before we go into that, I'm going to drop a tune, a message and song. Shout out to everybody logging in early. Give thanks for the patience. Yes, be early tonight, kind of early tonight for a number of reasons. So much going on, so much that it's a bit disturbing, and it's like not being the bearer of bad news, but let's look to more positive, optimistic initiatives that we can focus on and not be distracted by all the madness and the mayhem. So yeah, go tell a friend, tell a friend. Politically Incorrect is in the building. I want to shout out to the brother that I linked up this evening. Hello, you, brethren. I was actually walking. There was a terrible accident there in Holetown by Trent's playing field. I hope nobody was hurt seriously, but didn't look too good at all. But I trust that everybody is okay. But I saw a young man. They say, "Yo, yeah, Ross, yeah, how you doing? Yeah, blah. I'll be watching your program, young fella." He said, "Yo, man, we need more people like you, man." I said, "Nah, we need more people like you put in that work." So give thanks, man. Give thanks. Give thanks. As you supported the people, especially the youths. You see, I'm seeing more and more young people telling me, "Yo, yeah, we check the program, man. Like, yo, we support that, like the idea." And so it's happening, family. It's just the dialogue, communication. So tell a friend to tell a friend. Shout out to the Dominican family. I see you, Charles. Yeah, it's always good to see the Caribbean coming together. There's so much happening right now in the Caribbean. Shout out to Trinidad as well. Shout out to Yaramain, St. Vincent. Yeah, I know you are. Katura, you know what's going on. It's us against the world. Because the question is, do they really care about us? We got to take a serious look at some stuff tonight going on with this Guyana deal that they're making, you see? And what the implication is in terms of cutting this so-called food bill. Bishai, I didn't see the document. I didn't see it. I wish you could send it to me, but y'all ain't gonna believe this. But anyhow, go tell a friend. I got some stuff to share. Y'all do not want to miss this information. None of what's going on now is, how should I say, is by accident. There's a duality, but it's not by accident. We got to recognize the opportunities that we are being placed in and be able to step up and take the initiative, because the doors are wide open right now, family. We're going to touch on it tonight. Go tell a friend and tell a friend. Politically Incorrect is in the building, and y'all already know how this thing go. Yeah, so with having said that, and let's drop a tune real quick. Yes. One God, one aim, one destiny. Tell a friend and tell a friend, family. Stand up and fight for you a warrior. Can't make Babylon cross your barrier, not a rear. Stand up and fight for you a warrior. Heart it not clean, then you will not sorry for. Yes, family. From the time you're a warrior, stand up firm, stand up firm. Yes. Vanity may find out that them a scrape back. You not spread love, you not work with the save yourself and one and see something know them weak. Me know them weak. Stand up and fight for you a warrior. Armageddon. Shout out to Armageddon family. For life. Goddess, I see you. Jacqueline, I see you. Monica, Sharon, Andrea, Art in Motion, Jackie. I hope all things went well. Yeah. Let me burn down Saddam. Yeah. We not sorry for you. We now fight for the vanity, family. Can't let Babylon know, say you're a warrior. Yes, family. Stand up and fight for the time you were a warrior. Stand up and fight for the time you were a warrior. You already know how that go. Shout out to Anthony B. Tune in Warrior. Yo, the brother said to me that he wasn't really hearing the music the other night. He didn't hear the tune, but he'd give thanks for the link that I post. Having said that, they're going to post this link here now too. He said, well, when he listened to the lyrics of the music, the last tune, the other night, he said, yo, man, that tune did powerful. And that's what we're trying to say. Everything here is a message. Don't miss it. You can focus on all the little things that you like to focus on, but don't miss the message. You see? Don't mistake the message for mistake and miss the message. I always say that, right? Yeah. Anyhow, family, I see you more, Islam. Anyhow, family, another one of those beautiful evenings. Again, time has lapsed. Let us say to our family who's observing the Sabbath, let us say Shabbat Shalom to each and every one from the Hebrew Israelite camp. You know, those who are of the faith. I give thanks. Assalamu alaikum to the brothers and sisters. Peace, Islam to the Moors. You know, Ashe, Hotep to the conscious community. You know what I'm saying? And Rastafari to the brethren and sisters. You know, and as always, you know, there's always the Christian dome, you know, and, you know, the reality is, you know, it's peace and love right through. It's just peace and love. This is not the day of division. It's not the day for separation. This is the day, as in Pentecost, where it's about unification and the coming together. You know what I'm saying? Greetings to you too, Zamuni. Peace and blessings, love and light, mother of creation. Samuel, I see you. Anger, yes. Good night to you too, family. Yeah. Oh, man, family. Where do I begin? I mean, you reach a point where, you know, you recognize that, you know, and his sister, I give thanks for the message. She said, you know, if they're not coming voluntarily, we don't want them. You know, in this day and age, if people not stepping up and waking up voluntarily, you know, rather than you trying to shake life out of people and they just like, I don't know, I just trying to get some rest. At this point, the writing is on the wall as clear as day. I mean, it is so deliberate and subliminal in some cases that it is literally right in front of you. Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you might not notice it, sometimes you could see it, sometimes you won't see it. But I want to bring your attention real quick to an article here, and it's not a new article. It's about 2 years ago, 2020, back in March of May. So yeah, it's roughly about 2 years ago, and I want to share this really quick, and I'm going to start with this deliberately because I'm going to use this to springboard because it's against this backdrop, and I actually don't even like saying that because I say that because y'all know why I say that. So once I say that, you know, I'm making, you know, that's like the code word, the code phrase, because you know where I'm going. Anytime you hear me make that term or use that terminology, it's against this backdrop. Well, it's against this backdrop that I just want to post this really quick. Real quick. Now, like I said, in this day and age, you could claim you don't know. You could claim you can't tell. You could claim that you had no knowledge. And I want to really talk to my Christian community tonight. Y'all may not be happy with me, but well, maybe. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 3, states, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember the verse, but I think it's Ezekiel 3, I think 7 or 8, something like that. I could be wrong. But it says, if you see your brother going astray and you don't warn him, then your brother's blood is on your shoulders. And it also goes on to say, however, if you see your brother going astray and you do warn your brother, then it's on your brother or your sister. You did what you were supposed to do. Now, although in my father's house are many mansions, some people seem to think they have a monopoly on stuff. Not a problem. That's their thinking. But I want to address this to my brothers and sisters in the community, in terms of, we got a lot of Christian people that claim to be politicians. You got a lot of people wearing crosses, but, symbolically, I mean, it's a piece of jewelry. You have people living a lifestyle that might not be consistent with the teachings of what we are taught is the book of God. The word of God is the Holy Bible. And so we have a society who's built allegedly on Christendom, on Christianity, going back to Codrington College, when Mr. Codrington decided he wants to Christianize the indigenous people, and therefore save their soul from hell by placing them in some place called purgatory so they can cleanse or whatever, how the story goes. I really don't know. So they can go to heaven. Kind of like a car wash before you get there to clean you up. But yet and still, here we are in a society where people who claim to be Christians identify with some wrongdoings. Like they'll look at Rasta and say, Rasta wrong, Rasta bunning a spliff, this and that you're drinking. So they identify some things that are wrong, and they tend to stay away from these things that are wrong because, as far as they're concerned, they're wrong. However, we support political parties that engage in activity that completely contradicts that which the Bible talks about. So what kind of society are we? We say we're a Christian society. Well, how can we be a Christian society when we promote ideologies that are contrary to what God had instructed us? Now, I like the brother Phil. Shout out to Phil, by the way. Barbados Sovereignty Party. And Alex, of course, with the Coalition of United Parties, a cool Barbados Free Party, Bajan Free Party. The reality is that there are people who want to promote righteousness, seeing as how righteousness is what exalts a nation. A nation is not exalted via corruption. A nation is not exalted by calling wrong right. A nation is not exalted by adopting every wind of doctrine. There's some things a nation ought to stand for and be faithful towards, especially when it is consistent with the word of God that they profess to be the foundation of their existence. We keep hearing that we are friends of all and satellites to none. But like I said, not even God is friends of all. And he's still not a satellite to none. So it's okay to not have friends. You can ask North Korea about that if you feel, you can ask Cuba about that. Yes, I said Cuba, not Cuba. Nevertheless, this is our prime servant. And this is an article, like I said, from, and I'll post this as well. This is when our prime servant was the chairman of the CARICOM. This was a summit in Guyana, as fate would have it. This is interesting because Guyana is making a lot of news. Speaking of Guyana, yes, Antigua did sign on to this memorandum of understanding, economic cooperation, and we need to understand what that really means, okay? Because bear in mind, they speak double speak. But nevertheless, here's our prime servant at this meeting back in 2020, and we talk about flags going up around buildings lately, and I keep telling people, don't get sidetracked by that. because it's nothing new. It is nothing new. And realistically speaking, you know, it's a lifestyle that some folks have chosen to follow. That is their business. I mean, literally. It's not just, but it's when they try to enforce this and push this on regular people that it becomes the problem. The same way that regular people are not allowed to remind them that that's not their thing and they would rather not be a part of it, whether quoting scriptures or other means. It is taken with a grain of salt and usually looked upon as if you are being hateful or whatever the case is. Whatever the case is, I don't even know. One thing I do know, however, is that if we don't want to call a spade, then we're going to find ourselves having some challenges down the road. Right now, our children are being marginalized, and there's a clear and direct push to somehow kind of make it seem trivial and try to downplay it to some degree. Well, there's a reason for that. It's been going on for quite some time. This is not an incident that's happening now. It's not a now thing. It's becoming publicized now. It's been going on for decades. Decades it's been going on. And we don't even know the extent of the damage that this has caused tremendous and hundreds and thousands of props young people in Barbados. Hence, hurt begets more hurt. You see people in the society doing things, engaging in behaviors and activities that you would think is a bit reckless, not even realizing that if you trace the history, perhaps a lot of these individuals would have gone through these institutions that we tend to think are for betterment. And the truth is, they're damaging and creating a perpetual or perpetuated damaged society, permanent on the class. So recognizing this, the Christians community got to ask themselves, do I support this kind of administration? Do I want to support this kind of government, knowing that these are things that they're doing in direct violation to my Christian standards and belief? I mean, is this what I support when I say I pledge my vote? Is this what I'm supporting? No, you ought not to. As a matter of fact, the Bible tells you at some point when you recognize your government or the people in authority taking the system, or what they call Babylon, for those who do read prophecy, when you see Babylon completely expose its gone astray nature, because Babylon been astray, it's nothing new. The Bible tells you that. And if you're a Christian, you believe in the Bible, then you would accept that. You don't question God. So God said, when you see Babylon exposing itself, it's time for you to do what? Come out of her. Of course, we render the things to Caesar that are Caesar, but we also must render to God the things that are God. Otherwise, what are we calling ourselves? What are we really doing? The world isn't speeding up, family. Is that our conditioning is becoming dumbed down. Dumbed down. We are being reduced to nothing. Hence, everybody's suddenly tired. Everybody's suddenly frustrated. Everything seems to be going so quickly. No, it's not going quickly. You are slowing down. You got to raise your frequency, raise your vibration so that you resonate at the speed at which things are happening, so that in essence, everything is standing still. Right now, we vibrate at a level called solidity. So whatever you touch becomes or feels as though it is solid. But everything around you is molecules and atoms, and they're all vibrating at a particular frequency. What frequency is that? It is called solidity, just for the sake of descriptiveness. Descriptiveness, yes. Some folks don't like my diction. That's all right. Don't study my diction. All right. Study the message, not the diction. Nevertheless, raise your frequency, raise your vibration, because a lot of stuff is happening right now that for the most part may not even make sense. Let's look at this food thing, for example. We have this import bill, and I really wish I had the document that the brother sent to me. I was looking for it in the email. I didn't see it. I mean, maybe I should double check the WhatsApp in case he changed his mind. But man, oh man, oh man, the information that is coming out now is going to see storage full. Go to WhatsApp again. It seems that the more files I delete from WhatsApp to create room, it appears that the less room I have. That reminds me of back in the days, when what spyware would do is they would hack your phone and copy everything you do and create a copy of it. Then they will forward it to some particular email address. Perhaps that's what's going on. It seems like the more I delete, the less room I have. It's the strangest thing. But whoever cares, we're not scared of ghosts. Whatever y'all do is fine. It makes me no difference. Black Lion Security, check you when you're sleeping. But this thing about the food bill in Guyana, this whole thing now with food security and building this big processing plant in Barbados, for Guyana to import the food, can it, whatever, 40 containers. First of all, there's no supermarket in Barbados, not even PriceSmart, that has 40 containers. Better yet, that has even 20 containers. Better yet, that even have 10 containers parked up outside waiting to restock the whole institution. They don't know. It doesn't work like that. So clearly a lot of this food stuff they're talking about 40 containers. This is about exporting stuff. This has nothing to do with Barbados. So yes, they want to reduce the import bill about what it said, 25%, which is ridiculous because quite frankly, that is the drop in the bucket. The reality is there's agreements going on between Guyana, Barbados, and some other islands to supply food to the other nations because of the wars that's going on. Now, let me explain this to you carefully. The Caribbean can feed itself. It does not need Russia. It doesn't need Ukraine, wheat, corn, whatever the hell they're supposed to be growing. Quite frankly, we are so hopelessly dependent on, according to our prime servant. The war, you ever heard about what they call it? Long big grain rice or whatever? Sweet potato? Listen, hold on a second. We've been growing sweet potato. We've been eating sweet potato. Enough land in Barbados, we could feed ourselves, quite frankly. If y'all would stop just having people debush the place, rather have them plant food. I'm going to get back to that on another program. What I'm saying is that what they plan is right now is to supply food to the European nations, perhaps Canada and America, most likely, because they're not going to be in a position if they go into war to plant food. Nah. So although we talk about the import food coming in Barbados is going to be reduced, we need it to be reduced. Not because of war. We need to done away with it, period. Why is that? Okay, I'll take you to a little journey. I don't have the video right now, but y'all could probably look it up. They did a survey on processed foods, and I would have mentioned this probably last year or year before. Well, last year, sorry. They did a survey on processed foods and come to find out that when you feed generations, and it was 3 generations of cats, they did a study on cats. And after 3 generations of feeding 2 sets of cats, one was getting processed food for 3 generations, and the other was getting meat, fish, raw stuff, regular stuff, no process. And after 3 generations, what they noticed, it was that the cats who were eating the fish, the sardine, whatever, the meat, and other stuff that they would eat, I suppose, rodents or whatever else, lizards and stuff, whatever cats eat, while they're in the freeness, in the free sovereign state, indigenous, I should say, playing with the words, they were fine. They were strong, they were fit, and they were able to reproduce. But when they analyzed the cats who were living off of processed food for 1 generation, 2 generation, and 3 generation, by the 3rd generation going into the 4th, they found out something very interesting between the two. Whereas the one who ate natural foods was able to reproduce, the cats that were eating processed foods exclusively were having trouble. As a matter of fact, if they did procreate, it was maybe 1 kitten as opposed to the many others. They weren't able to sustain themselves for future. So this import bill that we have, this exorbitant, I mean, the brother gave me statistics this morning, and like I said, I'll probably have the elder come on and talk about it himself, maybe next week at some point in time. We got a few guests coming in, and it's crazy next week when we pack with people coming in speaking. A few people coming in, even a book review. So you don't want to miss next week at all. But the brother was talking about this bill in that a lot of these foods we import are the direct cause of a lot of the illnesses we have adopted. A lot of them, from obesity, hypertension, heart disease. I mean, a whole host and a range of illnesses, non-communicable diseases that are all directly linked to the processed foods. So the question, do they really care about us? You'll find, like at the primary schools, for example, in primary schools, and I've said this before over and over, you'll find that they allow people to come and sell food at the school, but you look at some of these trays of what they call snacks, what they sell to children are foods laced with poisons that really affect the mental and the emotional and the educational development of children. Red number 40, yellow number 6 or 5, blue number whatever. I mean, artificial flavoring, the artificial other stuff. I mean, the THC, trisodium phosphate. I mean, but they care, right? You need to take your child to get vaccinated because we want them to be healthy. We want them to be safe. Oh, by the way, have some corned beef and bread for lunch, school meals, complimentary. Yeah, nutritional value. We see it. But take your vaccine because we want you to be healthy. Yeah, okay. So this whole food thing with Guyana family is more to it than it appears to be. You know, it should not take a war in Ukraine to nudge us to start growing our food. It shouldn't take a war to lease property in layers, which is private, by the way. It's not government. Government don't own that. And build a reservoir, which the government didn't build a reservoir. Carl Williams built a reservoir. Carl Williams built a reservoir that he's going to lease to the government for God knows how much money, along with the land as well, that probably Guyanese are going to come to Barbados and work. I don't know this for a fact, but it's my assumption. Just call it a hunch. Nevertheless, what I'm saying is that we're not paying attention, family. We're really not paying attention. We're caught up in a lot of different rainbow colors, and we're missing the whole picture. We get caught up in the colors and we're missing the picture. It's a Kodak moment, family. It's a Kodak moment. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? We got to come to the point where we recognize that this is not in our interest. We have to take full responsibility of where we're going from here. There is no savior coming to rescue you until you start to rescue yourself. God said he helped those who help themselves. If you're going to sit like the guy on the roof and wait to God to come and save you, then you ain't going to get saved, man. You got to get up and go. They talk about there's a new interest in agriculture for young people. Well, not really a new interest for young people. It's a spiritual awakening. People are waking up spiritually, recognizing what's going on, and they are spiritually prepared to do what needs to be done. It has nothing to do with initiatives, the government trying to, because the government doesn't do anything to promote agriculture for young people. There's no incentive, no initiatives in Barbados that to say, well, yeah, this is why the youths now want to start agriculture. That's not what it is. Don't let them fool you. It's a spiritual order that you have been given a clock, and your clock has went off an alarm. You know what? Yeah, it's time to go do that. Because that's your program. But we got to make sure we take care of ourselves. The Caribbean has to start looking to each other to sustain itself. So the same way the government through CARICOM is looking to connect government through CARICOM for business and relation and trade reasons throughout the world, because Guyana do plan to ship food abroad. Don't get tired with this thing. They'll rather you starve. They'll rather you starve right here and export that food and make that money than to feed you for free and miss out on that money. You get the picture? It's a Kodak moment. So what we got to do in the Caribbean is that we got to start linking with people, doing our own trade. We got to create our own relationships between growers and suppliers, create our own markets, not necessarily Massey or whoever else, because the reality is it may come a point where you can't even go in there and shop. Not because you can't go in there and shop, because you can't afford to go in there and shop. So rather than wait for them to bring you a fish and tell you, here, look, accept this. Family, it's time that we organize ourselves. And I was on the phone this afternoon with 2 regional calls that were so fruitful and productive. I mean, I felt so excited, and I have so much to share. And, this is happening, family. I'm not asking you. It is happening. And if you don't recognize that, that's fine. Maybe you can sit and wait on your fish to come, like the food baskets during COVID. I mean, a government that only looked out for you and fed you once through that whole ordeal, despite the millions of dollars they were borrowing. I mean, being realistic, right? I would have rather, me personally, I would have rather they suspend one of those roads repairs, defer one of the road repairs to down the line, and fed more families or subsidize rent for some families. A lot of people got displaced during COVID, or pay a few bills, we wipe off a few debts. I mean, there's things the government can do, to make it easier for the people rather than come and give you a song and dance about buckle down. What the buckle down? We got to pull together, all hands on deck. All this kind of rhetoric. All this kind of rhetoric. When you clearly see they don't have nothing in place for you. Nothing in place. They left us out in the cold. And the idea now is we working together. These are these critical times. We survived COVID and there's a war. This is the language being used as an excuse. But the reality is, before there was COVID, before there was a war, we still had these issues, which is funny because now we have COVID and now we have the war. We have the issues we had before, plus the ones that these issues that they said are issues brought to the issue that was the issue before the issue at hand. You gotta rewind that one to fully grasp it. But I know what I was saying. Yeah, I be cracking a little joke in between. That's not really a joke though, man. I been cracking a smile, but ain't nothing funny. All this land around Barbados, we said it countless times, man. These plantocracies, you know? Yeah. First the government had it, first the plantation had the plantation, and the government had the plantation got about the plantation, and the government no family, it is time to put this thing in motion. So I don't plan to take a whole lot of time to go through that. It's time to raise the vibration and recognize that in order for this thing to work, we got to get this whole thing to stand still so you can see the bigger picture. So long as you playing catch up and trying to catch up to it, you ain't going to see it. You'll see it when it's too late. So develop trade yourself. Start doing your own thing yourself. You got these church groups. A lot of churches got land. Church work the program. Put it together. Govern your community. Governing the community is what we're talking about. That's where we're going. That's the only direction that we need to go in at this point in time. All the youths on the block, hold firm. Start to height yourself on another level. Dodge in the place for you. Dodge is not the place for you. Don't let them fool you. Look, for example, cannabis. Now, I ain't going to sit here and tell you that everyone in Barbados should be able to smoke cannabis for free. Don't big deal. I don't want to suggest that at all. What I will tell you, however, that there's a market for it. Yeah, the same market they want to export food to. The medicinal aspect of it, pain reliever, that kind of stuff. We go down that line. Why is it that Barbados has not yet put something together where we can generate revenue by manufacturing a product right here in BIM, Caribbean stamp, by Beijing, 100%, to export to these nations, especially since they're at war. They're going to need some painkillers and whatnot. What better way to numb the pain but a good CBD pill? A little oil, THC oil, whatever. You got children that suffer from epilepsy and different seizures. That THC oil instantly relieves that. Instantly. So we don't want to go into the medical aspect of it to generate income, to bring in enough revenue in Barbados to switch the GDP, spread the wealth across the island, and enhance the lifestyle. See, we keep talking about the infrastructure, but the lifestyle, the quality of life that families are living in Barbados. You still got people living in the Pine and Deacons and Haynesville and these housing areas. And one of these housing that was built for 2 people. And you see some cases you got 10 people living in one of those government units. And this is okay. All this land, we want to build houses for more and more Barbadians. You want to build more and more huts for Barbadians. You see, it's a colonial switch, family. You want to build more huts for Bajans to go and occupy and keep their minds stuck in that space, huh? The Canadian guy already has a cannabis deal. Keep up. Actually, not really. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. I mean, to even speak on that situation, man, it is not what it appears to be at all. Barbados has literally dropped the ball, probably on purpose. I'm sure there are people here who are in remote locations doing things, that been doing things with or without paperwork. The idea that people need paperwork to put things in place and this and that. Nah, that's the misdirection they gave us. Totally misdirection. You call right now Nazi cannabis industry in Barbados. If anyone has a license to do certain things, ask them certain questions and see what they tell you. You'll be surprised. We could always claim they're lying, in which case, what would be the point? A few investors came to Barbados to set up shop, and a few of them have left. Majority of them have left. Why would they leave? And the deal was so sweet. Why would they leave? Nevertheless, Rock Hall may be growing shit right now to reach the market as they hold back Bajans who applied. Barbados need a cash crop, but the country are not ruled by locals anymore. You are beaten to death. You're beating a dead horse. Unfortunately, it will take a miracle to give us the power we need. Well, I don't know. Well, no, we're not beating a dead horse here at all, man. We're not even talking about the system. That's why I said we the people gotta do what we gotta do regardless. We can't sit back and wait for them to do anything for us. And I agree, that is the dead horse. If we try to beat them to do anything, I agree that would be the dead horse. But we're not waiting on them. I want to do something a little different tonight. I think Isis was telling me this the other day. She wanted to share some stuff too. And a lot of other folks wanted to drop their comments in. So we're going to open up a little phone line. Yes. We're going to open up a phone line. Well, maybe not the phone line. Maybe I should do a link in. Maybe I should do a link in instead of the phone. I think I'm going to do a link in instead of the phone. I'll go ahead and post the link. And you can come on in your audio, unless you're brave enough to want to do video. But don't make me have to. Don't make me have to, man. And I ain't saying nothing else about that. All right, so I post the link there. The link is posted. Feel free to join me in the virtual studio. This is not brass tacks, but you can call in. You can log in, and you can share your thoughts briefly. Free Up Friday, man. Just come and free up yourself, man, and share your thoughts with the rest of the world. Because right now, like I said, family, it's about putting this thing together officially. There's just no other way, And so if we don't recognize that whatever plans they have is what they have, well, the plan is what is our plan? What are we doing? Other than perhaps, looking at what they're doing and debating what they're doing, what are we putting in motion? What are we putting in motion? What are we putting in motion? A lot of us have land. There's some people who have resources that can assist others and don't know what to do. Nah, family. Imported slave huts. I mean, those metal houses they're building. Ah, man, I don't know. The city metal huts are good though. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Church don't own no land, only graveyards. Oh man. Meal care package for 5% of the people. We have to grow our own food and support the small farmers. Now I wonder, right? During that whole initiative, because I know they started to buy food from the farmers. Actually, y'all may not know this, but during that whole COVID thing, the government started to buy some crops from farmers. Now, they had a whole bunch of stuff that they were looking for and had a bunch of price lists as well accordingly, and they would pay the money into your account. And so that was one way. The funny thing is, who you think stand to benefit from that the most? Because think about it. When everything started to shut down, a lot of these, a small farmer got his stuff, yes, and a lot of small farmers and whatnot, we get it. You got your little shops the side of the road and certain little things. But supermarket had a different reality going on. They had the lines and the restrictions and days to come and all kind of stuff. So a lot of food stuff was left out, so to speak, left over, I should say, because the hours were shorter. So it didn't have the same. So they came up with the idea, well, we're going to buy food from the farmers. We're going to create some food baskets. We're going to feed the people. Of course, that happened only once, but these are things that they were doing. And the question is, what were we doing? So let me just hypothetically assume the government started to reach a point where they're going to have to supply you food. You can't go and buy nothing. You can't get nothing. They got to supply you with food. What happens when they don't show up, or they show up late, or they show up with food that you don't even eat, don't consume? What are you going to do? What if they start claiming, well, those who are vaccinated first and those who are unvaxxed will get served later? What are you going to do? What is the plan? What is the plan? Oh, that would never happen. Yeah, all right. The world would never get locked down and lock in the house and quarantine either, right? Simultaneous. My profile pic says it all. Elections sound good. Wait, hold on a minute. Elections sound good, but I don't like the idea. Election feel like a control mechanism. I don't know. Need to grow the weed. It will find a market. Grow, grow, grow. Yes, I agree. Grow it. Plant seeds. I wish I had a bunch of seeds. I just walk around, throw seeds everywhere. If I had a whole, like I had one of those bags you see on Amazon, those big bags with like they got like 10,000 seeds or something. I just walk around, just throw seeds everywhere, man. Throw seeds all over. Look, you know, Bearmar want to see this. Throw them all over the place, man. I think right now Taiwan, I think the government in Taiwan did something very bold. I think they gave away 1 million trees to the population. I think Taiwan, I could be wrong. Taiwan government doing something very different when it comes to this whole marijuana industry thing. They done stepped up a whole bunch of notches. They're looking to bring money in. They ain't even playing. They gave the citizens, the people, every household has one tree. It gave 1 million trees to 1 million families. Like, yo, hold that. You're allowed to grow that for your own, what they call it, spiritual consumption. Meanwhile, they working on developing it to export and sell oil and stuff, like, pills and everything. They create but there's so much else that can be done with it. But we ain't here to discuss that. Like I said, family, there's so much going on, so much. And we could get here and talk with the World Health, but this Guyana, Barbados, Caribbean thing, that ain't no joke, family. We gotta look at this food thing serious, because who feeds you controls you. So although it may sound good that the government gonna do this and it may be a good thing, you might even be one of those that support it. It comes with a lot of other stuff here. So what I'm saying though, and the one thing I'm saying is that we have to chart our way forward by forging our way forward, by looking at ways to sustain ourselves. If they gonna help, that would just be extra. But make sure you have a plan going forward of how you plan to sustain yourself. Get with a group, get with a program, get with a movement, get with something outside of what they're telling you to organize. They keep pushing this idea of war, the COVID, the supply chain, and war. They keep talking this talk. Then you see them start planning how they gonna control food in the region. I'm just saying, think about this for a second, family. Real serious. The question is, do they really care about us? Do you really think that they started strategizing right now on controlling food because they care about feeding the people of their countries? Every country that was at that meeting in Guyana, or that is at that meeting in Guyana, is still plagued with poverty, and they have not done anything to alleviate or eradicate poverty. There's a bunch of talk shops about it, but what has been done to alleviate poverty? More young people leaving school right now with no opportunity because there's no jobs. People who got degrees right now can't even get the jobs in their degrees because there's no jobs for the people who have the degrees. So imagine the youth who don't have a degree. Or the ones now leaving with a student's loan because the best to do is to go to college. To do what? Study for what? The people who study ain't got a degree. The people who study who have a degree ain't have a job. So what am I going to university for again? You're going to study psychology. That's a good thing to study. You better study agriculture, permaculture, organic farming or something. Which reminds me, I got homework to do yet. Cheese on bread. Crazy. They're not focusing on food and food security because they want to help family. This is a control mechanism being put in place. And if we fail to see it, I'm telling you without question, remember the story of the brother in the Bible, when he said the famine came 7 years and 7 years well stored. I'm not debating whether Barbados has food stored or whatnot. I don't know. I never saw it. I only hear about it. I ain't got a clue. But then again, that's equivalent to them telling us there's a bag of receipts and invoices that point to the last administration stealing billions of dollars. Where that bag disappeared. I never seen it since. So who knows where the food really is? Like the school uniforms that the government bought back from the merchants that when children went to school the other day, nobody had uniforms, which was strange because, well, if you bought the uniforms to give away and they don't have any when the people went, but the people can't get uniforms from you, but where are the uniforms? Are those the uniforms that are now being resold again? I'm just asking for a friend. Since the supply chain was disturbed and whatnot, I just asking for a friend. Where they get all them uniforms to files from all of a sudden? Yeah, well, raise your vibration, family, so that everything stands still. You can see what's going on around you clearly. Clearly. That import bill is going to remain that way because that's cancer in a can in most cases. Now, I'm not going to say all the products are bad. I'm saying a lot of them, if you start to switch them around and read those labels, you'll realize a lot of what we import as food and consume is not in the interest of our national or the nation's health or healthcare system or the people of the nation. As a matter of fact, in fact, it's complete contrary to such an idea. So the idea that they wanted us cut it 25%, it would tell you this. Now study this carefully. They keep warning you about, the other countries keep warning about a food shortage. The countries with millions of people. Okay. They already talking about a food shortage. Our CARICOM leaders, the brilliant minds that they are, discuss cutting it by 25%. Now, this means it's 75% we plan to import still. So even if we can grow between Guyana, Dominica, we have the islands that sign on to this thing to grow 25% of the food to cut this bill. Let's just say the 75% gets disrupted because of COVID's food supply chains and the war. We're supposed to survive. Oh, by the way, the 40 containers for exportation, by the way, but we are supposed to survive on this 25% we're talking about. What's the idea? What's the scam? Because it sounds like a scam. All these containers for what? Well, we'll laugh back. We will ship. But wait a minute. If we growing to cut the bill by 25%, how is it possible to have something left over? Y'all really think that people slow, right? I just wonder sometimes how it works. So you're going to cut this food bill, import bill by 25% by growing food, build this plant in Barbados, all kind of fancy stuff. Sounds real good. All I'm hearing is ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Sounds like money to me. But then you tell us, well, we're going to freeze food, we're going to do all this storage and all this kind of stuff. It sounds eloquent, really good. But here's a question. 40 containers for what exactly to export to where? If we only cut the bill by 25%, we won't have sufficient to export. We won't have sufficient. And if there's a surplus, why not use the surplus to cut the bill to perhaps, let's say, 40%, 50%? Why export it when we actually clearly, obviously need it? Unless that's double speak and there's a different agenda at hand. Family, I'm just here to share this with you tonight because the elder woke me up this morning early with this information and some documents, man, that And well, like I said, I wanted to share them. I didn't get them, but it's probably good. I'll let him do it. I'll let him just do his thing as always. Our neighbor from next, our elder from next door, Bishai. Big up to Bishai, by the way, and the whole Yaraman family. You know what I mean? What they telling us, family, doesn't make sense. What they are talking to us about doing doesn't make sense. It sounds good, but when you start to look at it realistically, it is not adding up. And if indeed there's a famine coming, a disruption in the food chain because of COVID and factories closing down. Did y'all know, by the way, let me just put this out here. Do y'all know? I know I shouldn't say that. People always mention say that. Do y'all know? Go Google this. The amount of factories, manufacturing plants that burnt down in America in the last few months. Go look it up. I had a video, but I don't have it. It was on my phone, I think. The amount of food production plants that have burnt down across the globe, though. Go look it up, family. This is not an accident. This is a plan. It's a plan, all right. But we can't get caught like the 5 virgins who were not prepared. All Christian community, I'm appealing to the Christian community. Christian community got to take a very serious look at who they support as Christians. Because if you're supporting the anti-Christ movement, if you're supporting the anti-Christ movement, and by anti-Christ, I mean those who are against Christ consciousness or the renewed mind of Christ, like Jesus said, by the renewing of your mind, let this mind that's in me be also in you. So anybody who's against Christ consciousness, if you're supporting them as a Christian, you got to check yourself, man. You got to check yourself. Depart from me. I know you not. That's why you're told such a thing. But I went to church. I pay my tithe. I drank the blood and eat the flesh, pretendingly. Cannibalism, whatever it is. I don't know. Eucharist. The reality is, family, choose ye this day whom thou wilt serve. Because this is not what you think it is. If you look at it realistically, because who feeds you controls you. Do they really care about us? How can they really care when they import foods? The government is aware of the carcinogens in a lot of these foods. Look at the baby formula, for example. That's the big talk now in the news. Baby formula. Well, Google the danger of baby formula, and you will see just how dangerous baby formula really is. But yet, doctors give out samples to pregnant mothers. Look, make sure you don't breastfeed. You don't need no breast milk. You want to keep your breast looking perky. And what the word is? Voluptuous. So what we're going to do is we give you a formula. Use this instead. You know what I mean? Don't boil the barley and oats. And don't do that. That time consuming. We ain't got no time in this day and age. 2 scoops of this, right on track. Next thing your child got eczema, all kind of crazy stuff going on, and you ain't got a clue why. A lot of these foods, family, are poisons by nature. They disrupt the mental development of the children. They disrupt the immune system development in certain children. It makes them dependent on certain things. It makes them will have different allergies in certain instances. And so, we ain't even gonna get into the Bill Gates aspect of stuff. Yeah, all the intention Bill Gates, aka Resident Evil, has the farmland. Bill Gates again. Bill Gates is in everything, every single thing. No matter where you turn, you hear Bill Gates' name. Bill Gates, Bill Gates. I begin to think that Bill Gates is a spook, as a myth. And they just use that name and this image to sell us an idea that there is such a man who has that kind of control and influence. I mean, they'll actually do stuff like that. Like the war in Ukraine. Like I told y'all before, go watch the movie Wag the Dog. Go watch the movie Wag the Dog. You must watch that movie and get a better understanding of what really going on, family. Go watch that Wag the Dog. Straight up. Straight up. So when it comes to the food aspect, family, I don't care whether you Christian, Muslim, Jew, Gentile, whoever. If you ain't got no food, you got problems. You got problems. So start finding ways to come together, initiatives to work together, support farmers. You know a farmer, get involved somehow, start a little co-op, get with programs. Shout out to Brother Phil again, Alex, anybody else who do initiatives like that, and make it happen, man. for you and your people. I'm not knocking, because here's the thing, family. You know, it's going to come a time, when because bear in mind that everything that we talk about now, I remember we first talked about microchips in your hand, getting implants in your flesh that can read your wallet, it can read your medical records, it can read, your health, all this stuff, information in your hand, and the microchip. It was like, that is madness. That's just, you talking foolishness. Well, again, now that they have these things, we know for a fact that not everything that you say is a conspiracy theory is not truthful, and not everything that you say isn't is. So the reality is, what I'm saying is this: let us err on the side of caution. You know, let us err on the side of caution. Who controls the water controls everything. Water is power. That's a fact. That's a fact. Bill Gates, pay the bill, open the gate. Pay the bill, open the gates. It's crazy. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, well, I can't say not. I can't say not. I know. I know. I know. I give thanks though, man, family. Baby formula, breakfast cereal. The color snacks are oil poisonous and contain metallic metals. This is not about food, it's water. Well, the truth of the fact is, I don't care what kind of farmer you are. If you ain't got water, you ain't farming. Whether it's cattle, chicken, corn, wheat, whatever, broccoli, cabbage, lettuce. If you ain't got no water, you ain't got no farm. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, there's things we got to do, family. We got to get serious about it, all right? And that's how I feel about this thing. So that's what I wanted to say about that whole thing, because this Guyana conference, it's a big thing. It might seem simple, but understand the Caribbean is having conversations about food and controlling food in the region. That is very alarming, especially for people who pretty much depend on the government as it is already. And the fact that they keep warning you about food shortages, they are conditioning you and preparing you, just like COVID, for when they put certain things in motion, you ain't going to complain, because after all, there's a food shortage, Yeah, I don't know. But we about to find out, family. About to find out. Give me a second, huh? Yes, yes, yes. All right. Well, in other news, real quick, government industrial school. Yes, we're not letting it go. What's new? Well, it isn't so much a matter of what's new, it's a matter of what they knew all along. Now, I got some documents from a source, which I won't disclose, but the documents speak to a few things. It's called a green paper on the government's proposal for crime reduction, and it's written here by David Simmons, QCMP, Attorney General, Ministry of Home Affairs, April 2001. Yes, that's right. 2001. Wow. That sounds like a long time ago, right? In light of the fact we are now 2022. This is 2001. So yeah, we're talking a while ago, 21 years to be exact. Now, I'm not going to go through this entire document tonight. I actually have plans to do something with this particular document and present it. But I'm saying all that to say that there's been conversations for quite some time regarding the issue in Barbados, crimes and laws and this kind of stuff, especially when it comes to what they call juveniles or juvenile delinquency, which is a term I really don't like using either. But it's evident that Barbados knew of this issue for quite some time and nothing was done. Nothing. As a matter of fact, to prove it even more, in the last year alone, just the last year, in light of what was happening, all the stuff that came up, nothing was done. This became such an issue in Barbados over the last 12 months or so. And despite that and the extreme circumstances that one young lady unfortunately found herself in, although there may be many who have not yet have exposed pictures or have people talk about those instances, one is too much. One is too much. But yet, still a whole year, nothing was done. And how can I prove that nothing was done? Well, that's easy. The minister said that he found no wrongdoings and they're all baseless. You know, after the investigation, there was nothing wrong, and that concludes his investigation. Back to normal. Because they'd done something, he would have been able to say. They did nothing. And now it's back in their face again. Now suddenly everybody's talking. Why? Because people are starting to ask questions. Very good questions. I'm proud of Barbados on this one. This one did not get swept onto the rug. You are right, Mr. Wilfred. It will not go under the rug. As a matter of fact, we are taking the carpet up. Yes. So I heard the story yesterday from the young lady Shiaka about the young ladies and the whole CBC and all this other stuff. We know all this is just propaganda. I heard about the case files with the young lady who put information out and the government threatened her to arrest, whatever, for posting information that's already out there. She did not create any narrative. She just simply reposted what was already posted in the mainstream media. Sounds harmless. Not in BIM. You're threatened by the courts to be held in contempt if you do such a thing. Well, guess what? Maybe the court needs an investigation into it. How do these judges come to these decisions in some cases? How do they determine who and who not? Why put her in contempt? Why is she in contempt? Or why even accuse her? Why even make the assumption that this, to me, it's all propaganda, family. All propaganda. Because all of them work together. It's one big party. And we not invited, according to George Clooney, I think his name was. So what does this mean then? You can't come online and speak your truth. You can't come online and share information that's already out. Well, not during a trial. Not during a trial. Well, or a trial, which I guess is a judicial investigation. That's what a trial is, I suppose. Well, if you're not supposed to leak information or put information out that might influence people who are doing or might be, having to make a decision about something, like I said the other night, how about putting up a CBC documentary on a place that's currently being investigated? Would that be considered tampering as well? And if so, can we have an investigation into CBC and the people in CBC and all this other stuff to determine who would have been the people behind the scene that caused that to be? Like, who put that whole thing in motion? Who requested that documentary to be done, part 1 and part 2, to put a spin on the building? Who requested that? Was it a minister? And if so, was the minister acting in concert with other individuals? Yes, I said in concert with other individuals, with the sole objective to manipulate the minds of Barbadians and those perhaps investigating to see the institution known as the Government Industrial School as a place other than what the young ladies have recently accused it of being? And if so, can that be considered tampering with a governmental investigation, which, according to the judge, I think is a crime? And if so, can we investigate that? Shucks. I think there needs to be an investigation into that. He said, dude, the judges are real crooks. Oh, man. Curtis, I can't touch it. I can't touch it. This is why this is so overdue, family. This is long overdue. That's just a question I have, man. Would that be considered tampering? And question, CBC needs, look, man, I bet there's an email trail. I bet there's an email trail for that part 1 and part 2 that will find its way to some laptop in the Ministry of Home Affairs? And if so, family, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is why this particular minister has to resign. Because in his consciousness right now, if he know that they had a meeting and this was the PR plan to put people in motion, to find people and do this and do this and do this, and CBC Russia went up there and did a little footage and whatnot and did all this stuff, then guess what? We're being taken for a ride, family. Sammy, I see you. Good night to you too. Has anyone wondered why Lady Justice wears a blindfold and the sword of truth behind her back? Ooh-wee. Wag the dog, Kevin. Kevin, you know what time it is, Kevin. You know what time it is, man. Only they can do the things there. For them are only purposes for them to throw us in prison and to can continue to make money. It's the system, it's a cash cow. It is a cash cow. We are seeing a new world order at its best. Family, at this point, right, family, I'm gonna just say this right now. I'm just gonna say this clearly, and I can't even express this enough. If not, if not, if not for those who I don't even want to use the word sleeping. That's the truth. Because at this point, it's like people have their own alarms and they're gonna get up when they're supposed to. Our role is just keep pushing and also make sure we establish what we came to establish and not just identify the issues on the other side, but to build what we need to build and move forward from there. That's the bottom line. Bottom line. Jackie, I know you wanted to tune in, Jackie. I sent the link before, and so feel free to pop on in when you're ready. I'm just going to drop this for you real quick, and I put it up in here again for those who are interested in coming on and sharing your 2 cents, well, your 3 cents, not two, your 3 cents worth of information. The link is there, Jackie. When you're ready, feel free. Isis has chimed in. She was also come on the other night, and that didn't happen the way it's supposed to. But in terms of time, but she said that she wanted to share some information. Isis, can you hear me? If so, give me some feed forward. Give me a mic check. If you're talking, we're definitely not hearing you. Try it again. Okay, while she work on that. Yeah, family, like I said, though, this is not the time to be playing around. Start having a plan. Start having a plan. Work your plan. Work your plan, family. It's important. There's no other way this is going to work. You can't wait to them to do it. We can no longer wait for them to see what they're going to do. The question is, do they really care about us? That's a question. Do they really care? I mean, ask yourself that question. Do they really care? And look around you and see what's happening. Now, we ain't going to nitpick at all the little things, because to run a country, I'm sure, is a lot of work. I mean, I can just imagine. However, the interests of the people must always come first. And it can be a majority situation. Because if it's a majority, well, that's us. But although we the majority, they call us the minority and we get the least. Although we the majority, they call us the minority and we get the least. But that word minority has a different meaning than you think it is. It doesn't mean the smaller amount of the two. Minority comes from the word minor, right? Minority comes from the word minor, right? So the question is, what's a minor? What's a minor? Or we're gonna get real sticky next week, though, family. We're gonna get real sticky next week. Got a few people coming in, man, and that's gonna be interesting. Isis, if you can hear me, I'm definitely not hearing you. I don't know if it's me. If y'all can hear her, give me some feed forward. Let me know, because I'm kind of in the dark here a bit. Let me see. Let me see. Shout out to Nantucket, by the way, Virgin Islands, the BVI. Yes, 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 yes. No, I ain't seen it. I ain't really sure what's going on there with the Mike family, but anyhow, we're gonna push in the clutch. Yeah, of course, full-time cover up. Full-time cover up. Jackie, if you're there, UK. Shout out to all the UK family. Jackie, if you're there, yeah, the link is there. Feel free to hop on board. So much, man. A lot of stuff going on in St. Vincent as well, family. A lot of stuff going on. I mean, a lot of stuff going on. And I just want to send praise and energy to the family in Yarraman next door. I mean, a lot of damage to children is going on. They recently found the body of a young lady missing her head and her hands. And it's unfortunate, you know. I think she was missing for, she was last seen with an adult, I suppose, young lady. And then they found her body with a missing head and hand. So I think they identify who she was based on other elements. But yeah, family, a lot of stuff going on with our youth in the region, and there's no excuse. You know, we can no longer sit back, and that's just the reality, and hope that the system figure out what's it doing or what it plans to do. You know, while it waits for the economy to grow or whatever else it's what you're waiting for. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's fortunate, man. It's unfortunate, man. But yes, we have another caller coming in here real quick, and go ahead, state your name and tell us where you're from, man.
Not you guys.
Yes, good night. Could hear you. Could hear you. Could hear you. Could hear you.
Well, I think you can tell who I am. Jackie Stewart from the UK. Come to give you all my greetings and blessings on the situations ahead. My topic first priority the children. There is no way on planet Earth, absolutely no way on planet Earth should those children still be in that institution. Because this is not a story. It's a centuries old story. Those children are not going in for the good of themselves. They're going in for the good of a system that has been built on pure evil, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not sure if anyone else thinks that, but that's the way. That's my take. It's there for one reason: abuse. Abuse of the innocent, because they're tomorrow's generation. What you make them today, you turn them into tomorrow.
True.
They do not come out and aspire. No, they come out and feel worthless. They come out and continue what has been done to them. So it is not fit for purpose. And I do not care how many heads they put on the so-called board of directors. No disrespect, but none of them are fit for purpose. Because by now they should have been beating the drums that even Africa had jumped in. I think there's a lot of politics going on. and smokescreen and mirrors, as far as I am concerned.
Serious.
It shouldn't be an investigation. It should be a goddamn exorcist. That is definitely my take.
Serious. I think right now Barbados is again, as always, people say, you know what, people are not bothered because it doesn't happen to them or hasn't knocked on their door. You know, everybody's going on like business as usual, although it's not business as usual. So what would it take for Barbadians to say, hold on a minute, enough is enough, let's get this resolved? What would it take? What do you think would be necessary to kind of reach that point?
I think we've reached the point. I just think that still we have those ones that keep on thinking it's not happening to them. But I've always said this, when it happens to one, it happens to all. You just don't realize it.
Right.
Because what you think is all right for your neighbor is going to come to your door. True. And then your same neighbor that when it came to his door and you look the other way won't be there because you never helped him when it came to his door.
There you go.
And that's why even with my mother's situation, we are where we at. Because everyone knew that they pick up our land like they think they're in the sweet shop. And everyone decided, oh, but it always happened. Oh, doesn't make it right though. If they chop off 100 heads off your children and they get to 101, is that when you're going to say, God, they just chop off 100 heads? That attitude needs to change. Once it's wrong, it's always wrong.
Serious.
And it doesn't matter their title. That's the other thing. We keep on doing this honourable. We as a people need to drop off all these honourables, call them by their names. Like you hear me, Del Marshall, Low Life. Stop this Attorney General. If you're introducing them to someone new that don't know their status, say it just so the person understands the gravity of the abuse of power. After that, drop them the hell out. Because we help to make our children and the next generation vulnerable and indoctrinated to the system because we continue it ourselves.
Serious.
We need, I always say to people, do not be fooled by titles. Respect those that respect you and not tell you to respect them. There's a big difference. When are we going to start being those people that have pride in ourselves? We are kings and queens. It's our dynasties they're raiding.
That's right.
Our slaves in charge, as per usual, Frankenstein's creations. We know this. We know this. But instead, we still keep the same system and indoctrination of language. We should start telling our children from day one, they are the kings and queens. Tell them what real honor is. Do not tell them these political yard files that we got out here are honorable. Drop the titles. And tell the truth about these people. We've all ended up here for one reason only. Silence.
That's right.
Silence.
That's right.
We rather attack the victims, just like when I came out. You all knew. Everybody knew a little story somewhere. And to this day, still prefer to turn the other way.
But that's the same thing like CBC and the other interviews try to do. They try to, turn the whole story around to imply that the young ladies are fabricating the whole story. And the worst part about it is that the end of the day, the picture of the young lady in the cell naked was not a fabrication. And even if you felt that all the rest, all of them hypothetically were making it up, there's still this one young lady who is in a situation that you can't even explain. That's the horrific thought of that, laying there on a concrete floor with nothing on. I mean, come on.
But yet still we're here still having a conversation.
Yeah.
On this, so that I don't get people attack me and say, oh, well, you know, because the UK, yeah? I'm going to state this. On a global scale, us the adults on planet Earth have failed our children.
That's right.
So I'm not going to even now just put this, although them corrupt demons from hell, as you know, I always state this because their corruption came knocking directly through my door that we could see. Everyone else's comes knocking that you can't see, but it's knocking just as much. But
Serious.
the children on planet Earth, us the adults in the house, have failed them because we've accepted the unacceptable.
Agreed. Agreed.
And that the whole system is rotten to its core. And it always has been. If we really, really think about it,
That's right. That's
what have we gained to what we have lost?
it's called our culture. We call it our culture. It's our culture. We
Yes.
accept this. We call it our culture. We accept it. And that's
We
why
have
that's why
accepted.
yeah, it has to come crumbling down. It has to. I definitely want to thank you for tuning in. I see Isis here again. Isis, try your thing again. Let's see what happens on the magic tip.
Divine greetings to you, fams. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, warrior.
Hi, warrioress Jackie Stewart. You don't know.
You know,
Divine greetings to all I want.
you know,
Yes,
Vic,
but
spirits.
politically incorrect family.
You know,
Now,
I go ahead, go ahead.
right. I want to talk about because now there's this green paper that has made its way from 2001. Now, David Simmons was the Attorney General in 1985 also. Now, I would not fault a man for knowing something and doing nothing about it if he wasn't in a position to do so. Now, David Simmons' father was the late Kenneth Fish Simmons, who was the schoolmaster of Dawes. He and his entire family in the 1940s and 1950s lived on the compound, right?
Mhm.
Even in the 1951 election, where adult suffrage, where men and women could vote, they didn't have a problem. You didn't have to own land, have money, all of this jazz. The votes was counted at the recreational hall in the recreation room at
Mhm.
Dawes, which is the government industrial school.
Right.
Now, David Simmons would make statements like he knew youngsters was up there for petty crimes, and petty crimes was wandering this sticking issue with everybody. He
Mhm.
also said one young man was incarcerated for 5 years for stealing one lime leaf to make lime tea. So when you talk about the
Wait,
harsh
hold on. I mean stealing one lime. A lime
leaf,
leaf?
yes, please. Yes, please. No. You see, we
Man,
play too much.
come on, man.
Listen, we play too much games, and he was sentenced to 5 years. This actually came out of David Simmons' mouth. How do you become the Attorney General in this country in 1994 for 5 years? This green paper is only from 2001. The election was in 1994. They had 5 years before the January 1999 election to actually do something about it. David Simmons, I don't like Jackie said, I don't care for sir. When you have failed our children, you were in a position, you knew what needed to be done, you didn't do it. You knew what needed to be fixed, you did not fix it. Yes, you have been pushed as this legal luminary, Turks and Caicos, you've helped them out, but you have failed the children of this nation. Every boy and girl that have been into that institution that has been abuse, whether it be verbal abuse, whether it be physical abuse, whether it be sexual abuse, any form of abuse, even not having books. You have failed our children. You have failed our children. And you have broken young ladies out there now trying to put themselves back together. Broken young men out there trying to put themselves together. Because I ran away from home, it wasn't because of sexual abuse. It wasn't because of no abuse at all. It's because I had no relationship with my mother. And I wanted a relationship because despite it was my norm, my mother would not come around. She would call us on birthdays and stuff. It is only when you see children is give you a wake-up call. When my school friends looked at me and said, Rosie, because the only words out of my mouth was my daddy, 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 daddy. And one of my friends said, Rosie, I want to ask you a question. I don't hear you talk about your mommy. Your mommy is dead. That was a wake-up call for me. You could be in a norm and say, well, this is the norm for me. But when I was 12 plus, we made 3 attempts. The third attempt, And we got took in the night. Well, my sister was already 16 years, so she would not be able to be. They're going to be able to charge her with wandering. You as a child, you learn these things when you become a teenager. And mind you, at 12 years old, 13 years old, no young lady is really thinking sex. You know why this generation today is thinking sex? Because you put it in their face. When you talk about protecting the children, I remember 2000, I would have been 20 years. So if I wanted to have sex, where I choose not to have sex, that was my personal choice. I was to the age to make my own decision. You know, you can type in, like, if you type in to see any sex article, you have to have a credit card. Not today. You could type in sex and you see the sex act. These little babies are exposed to that. Where's the protection of our children from the same Google? Like, miss me with it. They talk about protecting and the rights of the children, but they've abused every right of the children. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not justifiable what they have done. And this young lady, there was an urgency to get her back in the fold of the GIS institution. Yet still, how do you take a lady's daughter, put her at psyche, say she's on suicide watch, and then she disappear like she is some modern day Houdini? If you're on suicide watch, you should be watched, especially when you are known to escape from the system. When we just now try to get you back, why is there no? You know what? Let me tell you something. When I heard the Prime Minister speak, right? The Prime Minister didn't even say, "Let me take a time out to wish the young lady if she's out there." Nobody, even all of these women that say, "Oh, protect our girls," don't even take time on down to brass that to say a little prayer for this child. That even if she's out there dead, she will be found to give her parents closure, because not knowing is the biggest killer for any mother or father.
Serious.
So I want to say to her parents, you know, this is not right. The minister, how it is when she was on the run, it was this need to grab her. Now she's suicidal. I would like to think the minister haven't said a word. It's like they don't care. Is it that they drugged her to the point and just left a vehicle there and drop her off somewhere? This is not right. And Wilfred Arthur Abrams, I'm saying to you right now, you need to go. As a man with 28 godchildren, yes, 28 godchildren.
28
A wife that, yes, 28 godchildren. That was the last tally.
You seem to have a lot of details. You sure about this? 20. That seem a little.
Listen, I get things from the horse's mouth. If you say to me, Emmanuel, you have 48 godchildren, or 28, or 5 children, I could only go with what Emmanuel tell me. Somebody might say, but Emmanuel only got 3.
He knows, you know him personally.
I don't know him personally, but there's way that I extract information from people without them know it. I get in the information.
I don't want it. I know what I don't want. It's right. So go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Right. As a man with 28 godchildren, what percentage of the 28 are girls? How do you not care about a 13-year-old? I mean, if she was 15 going 16 in a couple of months, that is the way she on in the next couple of months, she will be 16. But there's a child. Parents are worried. And you haven't come back and updated us. There's no searches from the police looking for this child. What is it saying about you as a minister? And let me tell you something else. I mean, and his wife is the top Digicel CEO is his wife, Natalie Abram. What is it saying about your character too? You mean you can't get your husband to resign, even if you threaten him with a divorce? This is a serious matter. This is nothing to play with. This is the life of a child. If an adult goes missing, everybody's know that I hope to find them. And we're not interested in what has happened to this child. She just escaped, she accustomed doing it, and that is it. Are you serious? They can't be serious. There's no prayers going out for this child other than we that doing it. That is telling you something is up. Then you're scrubbing down the place, tampering with evidence. What kind of madness is this? The victims are suicidal, and yet still the potential alleged victims are on suicide watch. We haven't even had an update on how many of them there are who left the suicide watch and back at the institution, right? Yet still you're going forward with an investigation. I mean, I got one last question and one last thing to say.
Sure.
Before I go. The young lady that was placed in the cell. Now, originally, there was the GIS board did their investigation.
Right.
There was an article, I might have to look for it, that said when they found no wrongdoing, that the young lady that was in the cell, the 14-year-old girl, her parents, because the GIS board can do and say, oh, we ain't find no wrongdoing. But what I need the minister to say to me as a taxpayer of this country is, did the family, the mother of the child, the 14-year-old child, speak to the police investigators? That is what we need to know. Because they're saying they had no conversation with them. But yet, so you say you don't find no wrongdoings? So what was this investigation? Just GIS and you run off with it? Stephanie Chase is always there for the children. She is on the GIS board. How this is happening, these lies are being told, and you don't resign. It speaks to your character. Or you a fake or phony. And I don't care about her soft arrest, because that's just to frighten us on social media so we wouldn't speak.
Miss Beard, sorry.
Miss Beard, Stephanie Chase. All of these people.
Let me say this, Isis, if you don't mind. And I say this, just ancestral inspiration, because if the statement was actually, his statement was that the police did the investigation, and this concludes the investigation because at the point in time, the parent and the child did not respond to any questions, or did not answer any questions, or did not give a statement, basically. So that concludes
exactly.
The reality is, though, regardless of whether they gave statements or not, I'm sure he has, or have seen, or still has a copy of a picture of a young lady that prompted the investigation in the first place, that clearly indicated that there was a crime, there was an injustice, a violation of human rights in action. Unless he was more interested, unless the investigation was about who took the picture, in which case
what it was
he
about.
never got the answer, then perhaps that's what he meant. But as far as it was a violation of human rights, or violation of the child by having her there placed naked in this cell for however long period of time, you didn't need to get a response from the child. You can see the child in the cell. You didn't have to ask the child who was in the cell. You could see it.
Where's the clothes?
Where was her clothes? The clothes were probably removed by other children. For what I understand, the staff actually let other girls, the house girls, the bullies, or the ones that they liked the best, strip the young ladies in the cells. I don't know if that's actually true, but from what I was told, the staff don't actually take the clothes off. The other girls do.
Right. Even if her clothes have been removed, the first thing you do is you're meant to put the clothes back on. So I want to know what is behind the no clothes policy. Why are you going to have a young lady in puberty exposed to man, woman, dog, cat, anything with no clothes?
They claim she was suicidal.
Even if she is suicidal, they just make sure you have things that can do you no harm. So no string, no buckles, etc. Nothing to hook something on to hang yourself. You still are supposed to have on clothes, even if it is a goddamn paper gown. You still idle watch does not mean you don't have on clothes. It just means you have nothing within that cell or on your body that can self-harm. The biggest self-harm you could now do to a young lady is remove her clothes. You are then exposing her mentally and physically and opening a door that will never close in her mind. So as far as I'm concerned, let's change the language and stick to the fact is, why the hell would anybody put a child in a cell with no clothes?
Well, I wish Mr. Abram, if you're watching, you could call in. You could call in if you're watching, and maybe you can ask some of these questions directly. Miss Beard, if you're watching, you can, click the link and come on in, and you can answer. Anybody from JS who's watching, who works there, feel free to click the link and come on in. I'm sure we would all like to hear, what's your take on this situation?
And with
Defend
this,
yourself.
Is there a toilet? Does she or he have, do they go and sit on the toilet and have to do, do everything with everybody watching and no clothes? Do they give them toilet paper? Like, someone explain to me. What the hell? I mean, I'm trying to picture it. What the hell? And better still, if a child gets to that point of even feeling like that, I'm sorry, that child should be in a loving environment, not a cold cell and no clothes on. It's cold. Call the parents. And if you can't do that, you put that child in a place that is secure and definitely not sterile and definitely clothed. And as for moving them from a school into a mental institution, that is done for one reason and one reason only. You can meditate them. You can give them any form of goddamn poison on this place called Earth under the guise of it was for their health.
Yeah.
It is never for their health. The mind of a child is sacred and is still growing. And all it needs is conversation, love, security. It does not need medication, and it definitely does not need isolation. So as far as I'm concerned, as I said before, Wilfred Abraham, you need to crawl back in the goddamn hole that you could only been spat out of, and the kids need to be set free, and all of you demons down there need to walk into that institution and have a dose of your own medicine. And when they finish you down there, send you up to the psych ward and make them dose you with your own poison, and then come back and tell us if it was for your interest of your own good and how you're feeling now. We're waiting to hear if you're going to come out and tell us all good.
I would wish, right, that we since this is the practice, and it might seem a little far-fetched, we could put our prime servant in this same cell with just her knickers on overnight. How that sound?
Well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
How that sound? I mean, if it's okay, because bear in mind, this is still currently a situation that's going on. I mean, I think there's some new young ladies who admitted there recently as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think there are probably 2 or 3 that are actually currently housed in that facility that are not in Black Rock. My point is, regardless, this has been going on for quite a while, and this is the normal practice, and this is what's been normal. We accept that this is normal, it's okay. How about we put all the female ministers in their knickers for how many days is supposed to be there? 3, 4, 5 days, and let them serve that time and see how they feel about that whole situation. I'm sure to urgency, expediency, I'm sure that all laws will be changed right after that, if none less.
One of the other questions I want to raise, right? FAMS is this morning after pill. What is the youngest age to give this morning after pill? Now, we know wandering is 11 to 15 years. 16, no, but 11 to 15. So to give babies the morning after pill, the fact that you have child psychologists, the child care board, allowing these things to happen, do they really care about our children? These are the kind of questions that we have in terms of the treatment, the ill treatment, and the damage that is going to be done to the wombs of these future mothers of tomorrow. And that is a very big thing. And that is not being discussed. And that is something that is very frightening, to have to fly your child with all type of pills, all type of poisons. And then when they give back your child, they don't know why they have all of these cancers. They don't know why they have this, why they have that, because so much damage has been done. This is so much sickness, evilness, and these people need to go. I'm going to go back into the show now. So, Jackie, bye-bye. Divine greetings to you, fams. Yes.
Love back at you. And one more thing I'd like to say. Also, I still want someone to explain and break down to me exactly what they think they're looking for when they do that so-called inspect what's between their legs policy. I want to understand the breakdown and the meaning behind, because even if a child is sexually active, they need a conversation and an education on what that can lead to. But at no point does it serve anyone to examine a young child in their private, most intimate area, regardless if you think they're sexually active. You have an education that you can use to make them, enlighten them what that can lead to. You have a conversation. But what you do not do on any level is for any man, dog, cat, you name it, as far as I'm concerned, to ever think they can lay my child down, legs spread open, to tell me exactly what the hell are you looking for. I am telling you, that right there
Serious.
really needs to stop, because that is for nothing other than to abuse a child. And it is an abuse, because you should not be putting anything there, period. Say that child is not even sexually active. What the hell? It needs to stop. And we need to just say, we don't care if, even if the child is sexually active, have conversations, have an education. But what we cannot do is now make it acceptable that people can be putting their hands on God knows what, where, on the guys, the absolute insult to our intelligence, to see if they're, hold on a minute, when you even see if they've even been sexually active and they're underage, do you go and get the, I don't remember no sexual register for the paedophiles that are sleeping with our children. What's the outcome of this? I'm waiting to hear. Do you castrate them when you realize they've slept with the children? No, but you make sure you humiliate the child. That there is an absolute rotten seed. As I said, it was set up on evil. It will remain evil. It needs an exorcist and the children removed.
I
That's
agree.
my take.
But thank you for calling, Jackie. Totally
Good
agree.
night to all you fam. Love you and keep safe.
Yes, family. Love y'all too. Keep good. Shout out to all the UK people. Many questions, family. And the truth is, they're not coming forward answers like they were before. There's actually now a deafening silence, which is a bit strange. And I like to think that that is when you start to become a bit more concerned. You see, at this point, though, it's obvious that Barbadians are not going to let this go away. I think that we need to keep pushing this as much as possible, not to make it political, but it is political, because the reality is DLP, BLP, they all had an opportunity to fix this and nobody touched this, as if it was taboo. Leave it as it is. We are going to deal with that, whoever the we supposed to be. Is it a trafficking ring? Is it a sex trafficking ring? Is this a child? Or I don't know. But there's a lot of institutions in Barbados that are under the spotlight, under the magnifying glass now, including a lot of other children centers that I won't call their name on this platform yet, but I'm waiting for some information to come forward from some investigations that are going on. And so once we get that, we'll bring it to the table. Apparently, family, children in Barbados and abuse have been going on, for like eons. And the reality is, it's gone unchecked and unnoticed. Not anymore. Not anymore. I had a question, though. I just want to put this up real quick before we jump out of here and let y'all go enjoy the rest of your Sabbath night. Call to help sex workers. I don't know if y'all saw this article. It was in the Nation newspaper. And, it's a young lady here who has a program. And from my understanding, she does a lot of work with women in the streets. And my only question, though, is women empowerment movement. That's what it is. Women empowerment movement. I was looking for it. And a shout out to the women empowerment movement, by the way, because like I said, anything to help, I'm all supporting it. I would like to know if they could do a survey. This young lady here, she's in a very critical position because since she know a lot of the sex workers that work the street. And this is, by the way, this is the article from the Nation newspaper. I'm not publicizing nothing that wasn't publicized already. Please don't inbox me telling me nothing like that at all. I ain't care whether you judge or juror. But check this out. I wonder how many of these young ladies are past wards at the government industrial school. That question came to me, and I thought to myself, I wonder how many, if any, were wards at the government industrial school. And if so, what's the percentage ratio? That ought to be I think that's interesting. Just a thought. Quick question, but again, if somebody could find out, that'd be nice. Maybe, one of my research teams can jump into that and see what they can find out. Contact the lady or whatever and answer some questions and report the information. Yeah, this is the Jeffrey Epstein type organization they run in here, man. There is a reality. Is a reality. This is the Epstein for Barbados. It's a crazy, 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 crazy island, man. But family, it is only crazy because we have sat back and done nothing. Like I keep saying, if the repercussions for doing these things were dread and terrible, not too many of these ministers would want the job to start with. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ras John, by the way, in St. Vincent, Brethren, right? This so speaking of dread and terrible when the ministers do foolishness. But family, on a real serious note, I want us to really pay attention to what's writing on the wall. Do they really care about us? It's pretty obvious that the fact that we have cared less for ourselves has encouraged them to continue the abuse. And I'm going to say that again. The fact that we have cared less or have been careless with self is what perpetuates the abuse. So we really can't even blame them for what they're doing. They're just capitalists, and capitalists will always capitalize on a situation. What we have to recognize is that by simply removing the opportunity from them, then, they don't have the opportunity. So let us do so, family. It's time to raise the bar and raise the frequency, remove the opportunity by focusing on what we need to build, what we need to put in place to secure our children and our children's children going forward. We got to protect the loved ones' family. It's gone too far for too long. You know what I mean? So that's my position, full stop. But anyhow, having said that, it's been a while since I hear my Bunny Wailer. Too long, man. Too long. Much too long. So rise and shine and win your liberation, for now's the time. All mankind must be free. Not true. Wait, hang on. Looking for the tune, man. That ain't gonna happen. You got me here searching. I'm gonna search for it because I'm not seeing it. Let me stop that one first. There we go. Yes, family. I can't even put it in perspective enough. I want to thank everybody for coming in here, man. Sure. Listen, man, I give thanks for everybody on Politically Incorrect who tune in, who subscribe, who tell a friend to tell a friend, who share it, who watch it live, who come forward and check it afterwards 2-3 times, who share with their groups, who take clips out and share that as well. Family, it's us, man, and that's it. Shout out to Marcia Weeks, Women in Action, you know what I mean? Shout out to Marcia as well, Heinz, putting in the work. A lot of other females behind the scenes. Some prefer to remain quiet, silence in the background. Y'all know who y'all are. Big up to Black Lion Security without question. All the men and faithful women that make up that unorthodox movement of final warriors. You better stop playing here. Them people ain't playing. Let me get it done. Love and light to you too, family. But it's been a while, man. Much too long, man. So much too long, family. This whole meditation this evening, family, man, raise your frequency, your energy, the inner chi, your vibration, and change the melody, create your own harmony. You know what I mean? It's a symphony. Be at one. Balance. Be the rainbow and fly your flag. Be at one. Be the rainbow and fly your flag. Align the chakras, family. 7 principles, 7 colors. Walaikum assalam, bro. Walaikum assalam. All the children, man. For all the children, man. Shout out to Bertram and the family out there in the IV. Yeah. Well, my Lord's Hill, IV, the other side, I think. Yes, family. Johnny Tudor. Yo, somebody get me Johnny Tudor's number. ASAP. I want that ASAP in my inbox. ASAP. Make it happen, family. Alex, you funny. I need to check an old phone. That's what I need to go check. I need to check an old phone, though. Really and truly. Check this old phone here and see what happened here. Yes. The old cell phone, family. Oh, shucks. It didn't even come on. For the sake of the younger generation. Yes, Jade. Walaikum assalam to you too, bro. Peace and love, Rastafari. All right. Johnny Tudor. We've been down too long, family. So rise and shine. Alright, I ain't find it. I ain't gonna look though. Don't watch it. Anyhow, family, man. Let me see real quick, man. Rise and shine, man. All right. I can work on that, family. Y'all just have a peaceful night. Like I said, be at one, feel joy, hold a meditation. Just raise your frequency, man. Get in tune with what's going on, because reality is a lot of stuff is happening. A lot of folks are not necessarily aware of what's happening. But believe you me, man, it's time to get in tune, family. Get in tune, man. Get in tune. Let's get in tune, man. Yeah, get in tune. I won't even do that. I won't even. Monday. I'm going to show you that on Monday. They tried to kill Johnny Tudor, and I want to put him in a home claiming he mad. That's all right. That's your own people, right? This is the time where all nations must be free, family. Keep that energy in your subconscious, man. Keep it in your subconscious. All right, family, we out. In the out, family. Haile Selassie the First, Empress Rosea Menin. One perfect balance, man. You can take a walk, man. Outside seem a little nice tonight. Take a little walk. One of these nights I'm gonna do a live, man. Like a little body cam. What politically incorrect does at night. Nighttime edition, family. Work always getting put in. Shout out to Black Lion again. Black Lion Security. I got to shout y'all out, man. Y'all some faithful people, man. Like, love the energy, man. Y'all stay true to the game, man. Stealth mode. Stealth mode. If you don't know, now you know, man. If you're not coming willingly, we don't want you. You have a blessed night here, family.